Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the Tudor era.
Ooh.
So we've got two queens,
Uh-huh.
Catherine of Aragon and Anne Boleyn,
Right.
and two prayer books,
Okay.
and a whole lot of intrigue.
Sounds good.
So just try to imagine
Let's
two
go.
books of ours,
Mm-hmm.
almost identical,
Yeah.
reunited for the first time in 500 years.
Wow.
One belonged to a queen,
Okay.
desperately trying to hold on to her crown.
Mm-hmm.
The other to
Yeah.
her ambitious lady-in-waiting,
Okay.
who would ultimately take her place.
I mean, talk about a story.
Right.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's the kind of stuff that you can't make up.
No.
It's better than fiction.
Absolutely.
So these books really give us a glimpse into the lives of these women,
Yeah.
their beliefs,
Yeah.
their ambitions, and maybe even some unexpected common ground.
I love that.
Yeah.
Unexpected common ground.
Yeah.
So let's start with the discovery of Anne Boleyn's book. It was found at Hever Castle, right?
Yes.
Her childhood home.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And what's so cool about it is that it has a personal inscription in her own handwriting.
I love that kind of stuff.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, tell me what it says.
remember me when you do pray that hope doth lead from day to day?
Oh, wow.
I know, it's beautiful.
That just sent chills down my spine.
It's poignant,
Yeah.
you know, like a message across time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So for those of us who might not be familiar, what exactly were books of hours?
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah, so they were basically prayer books
Okay.
used by Catholics, and they followed the 8 canonical hours of prayer throughout the day.
okay.
So you could almost think of them as like personalized guides for
Okay.
daily devotion,
Okay.
filled with prayers and hymns and readings from scripture.
Okay, so they're not just mass produced,
No, not at all.
like, a Bible that you pick up
Right.
at a...
No, they were often hand decorated,
Oh, wow.
even when printed.
Okay.
People wanted them to look like
Gotcha.
those beautiful illuminated manuscripts from the time.
Okay, so like mimicking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
And I think it's so cool to see how they try to bridge that gap,
Yeah,
between traditional craftsmanship and newer printing techniques.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So Anne's book wasn't just this, historical artifact. It was like this personal and spiritual companion.
Right, it was with her,
Yeah.
you know.
And get this, it was passed down
Okay.
through a network of women, primarily in Kent,
Okay.
who had connections to Anne and her family.
Wow, that's a really cool detail.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It really shows the enduring loyalty that she inspired.
Yeah.
Even after.
Even after her execution.
Yeah. These women risked a lot to keep this book safe.
Right.
And it really shows you the web of relationships, the complex allegiances in Tudor society.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
All right, so now let's move on to Catherine of Aragon's Book of Hours.
Okay.
This one's housed at the Morgan Library in New York.
Yes.
Talk about a journey.
I know.
It has a later inscription that confirms it belonged to her. But to think that these two books,
Right.
practically twins, were separated for centuries
For a century.
and are now reunited, that's mind-boggling.
It's pretty poetic.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you say?
I would.
It makes you wonder, were these books just fashionable accessories at court?
Yeah.
Or did they represent something deeper for Catherine and Anne?
Okay, let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
What I found intriguing about Anne's book is that the English prayers
Right.
show signs of heavy use,
Interesting.
while the Latin prayers are more pristine.
That is a great observation.
So what do you make of that?
Well, Anne was known for her interest in religious reform
Okay.
and her support for translating the Bible into English,
Okay.
which was pretty radical at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So her preference for English over Latin in her prayer book could be an early indication of that.
So it wasn't just a matter of language.
Yeah.
It was potentially a reflection of her evolving religious views.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also can't forget that Anne's book is far more lavishly decorated than Catherine's.
Right.
It's almost like a deliberate statement, don't you think?
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, Anne was ambitious.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
And, her star was on the rise.
Yeah.
She may have chosen those embellishments just to reflect her aspirations
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even foreshadow her future as queen.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's like she's saying, here I am, and I'm ready for the spotlight.
exactly.
But let's move on to Catherine's Book of Hours for a sec.
Okay.
What aspects of her book stand out to you?
Well, for starters, there are handwritten Latin prayers
Okay.
added at the beginning,
Oh.
and they show evidence of a lot of physical interaction, like maybe tracing the words with a finger during prayer.
Oh.
So this suggests like a really personal and devotional practice.
Okay.
Quite different from Anne's.
Right.
Which seemed a little bit more intellectual
Yeah.
engagement with the English prayers.
Yeah, so we're seeing like two different personalities
Absolutely.
reflected in their approach to faith.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that there's no one right way
Exactly.
to experience religion.
It's all personal.
Yes, it's all intensely personal in its own way.
Yeah.
And, we can't forget the historical context either. I mean, Catherine and Henry's marriage,
Right.
was symbolized by that Tudor rose, intertwined with the pomegranate of Granada.
Oh, yeah. I love that imagery.
Right.
Yeah.
It represented such a powerful union.
It did.
Catherine brought stability,
Yeah.
a strong lineage,
Yeah.
a connection to one of Europe's most powerful families.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And their court was renowned for its splendor.
Oh, absolutely.
A world of lavish clothing, jewelry, and elaborate ceremonies.
It was really a golden age for the Tudors.
Yeah, it was.
It was a golden age.
It really was. And to think of Catherine surrounded by such opulence,
Right.
yet finding solace and strength in these intimate prayers,
Yeah.
it just makes her seem so much more human,
Totally.
more relatable,
I agree.
despite the vast historical distance.
Absolutely. It's so easy to get lost
Yes.
in the grand narratives of history
Right.
and forget that these were real people with their own hopes and fears
Right.
and, spiritual journeys.
And now, despite all their differences
Okay.
and approaches to faith,
Yeah.
the fact that they both owned virtually the same book suggests a shared religious experience.
Yes.
At least at some point in their lives, right?
At some point, it's definitely a
Yeah.
point worth considering.
Right.
Even with the different levels of personalization, it hints at a connection that goes beyond just the rivalry for Henry.
Right.
We tend to see them as like diametrically opposed.
Yes.
But their paths were probably way more intertwined
Right.
than we realize.
So is it possible that Catherine and Anne might have even shared prayer readings from these very books? Can you imagine them sitting side by side?
It's pretty wild to think about.
I know.
Right.
Engaging in this act of devotion together.
Given how it all unfolded.
Right.
Yeah, but shared prayer readings were totally normal at court.
Okay.
So it definitely could have happened.
Yeah.
We can't say for sure if they used these specific books together.
Of course.
But yeah.
The possibility is intriguing.
For sure.
Yeah, and it definitely challenges the simplistic narrative of Catherine and Anne
Right.
as just being rivals,
Totally.
locked in a battle for the throne.
They were complex individuals.
Yes, they were.
Navigating a world ruled by men.
Yeah,
And their stories are much more nuanced.
right.
And the history often portrays them.
I completely agree.
Yeah. They were intelligent,
Yes.
ambitious women who challenged conventions and fought for what they believed in,
Yeah.
even if those beliefs changed over time.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, who knows? If things had been different,
Yeah.
maybe they could have found common ground,
Right.
even become allies.
We could have joined forces.
That's right.
Their combined intellect and influence shaping Tudor England.
Yeah, it would have been a force to be reckoned with.
I know, it's amazing.
It is.
History is full of what ifs.
That's right.
But even if their lives took different paths,
Yeah.
these two women, both with powerful personalities,
Yeah.
complex motivations, and a shared religious practice,
Yeah.
were ultimately caught in the web of Henry VIII's desires.
Sadly.
And those desires, as history shows,
Yes.
had a profound impact not only on their lives,
Of course.
but on the entire course of English history.
Absolutely.
It's remarkable how these seemingly personal objects, these books of ours, can open a window into such a pivotal moment in time.
They really can. It's a testament to the power of objects.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
connect us to the past.
For sure.
These books aren't just artifacts. They're tangible links
Yeah.
to two extraordinary women
Yeah.
who shaped the destiny of a nation.
They did.
And their stories, filled with ambition and faith and tragedy,
Right.
continue to fascinate us centuries later.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes you realize that history isn't just dates and battles.
Oh, no.
It's about the lives of individuals and the ripple effects, their choices across generations.
It is. And these two books of ours
Yeah.
reunited after all these centuries.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, they really show us that,
Yeah.
they offer us a glimpse into the
Yeah.
hearts and minds of these two women who, despite their differences, shared a common faith and had a profound impact on history.
So what can we learn from these objects?
That's the question. What insights can we take away?
What can we take away from this deep dive into their stories?
Well, for me, it's a reminder that history is rarely black and white. You know, we like to categorize people as heroes or villains.
Good or bad.
Allies or rivals. But it's always more complicated than that. You know, Catherine and Anne, they're always portrayed as like...
total opposites.
Total opposites. But they probably had way more in common. Than we think.
And we realize, And it just shows you that you have to challenge those simple narratives.
You do.
And dig deeper.
Exactly. Question everything. Explore. And look for those hidden connections. That reveal the true richness and complexity.
I love that, the richness and complexity of history. Well said. I know I'm personally inspired to learn more about Catherine and Anne, to go beyond the familiar stories. And to delve deeper into their experiences and their motivations.
I encourage you to do so. You know, read their letters, explore the historical context, draw your own conclusions. There's always something new to discover.
There is.
About these fascinating women.
Absolutely. And to our listeners. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity too.
I hope so.
And that you'll continue exploring the lives of Catherine of Aragon and Anne Boleyn. And if you want more deep dives into captivating historical topics,
please
be sure to subscribe to our show.
We'd love to have you.
Until next time, keep exploring. Keep questioning.
Keep digging.
And keep discovering the hidden treasures of the past.
That's what it's all about.